At the end of the topic, you will be able to describe the Government of India Act 1935, explain the Second World War, analyze the demand for Pakistan, identify the August offer, discuss the Quit India movement, illustrate the life of Subash Chandra Bose and the Indian National Army. The Government of India Act 1935 expanded the powers of the elected provincial and national legislatures and helped to lay the groundwork for full independence. The Act contained all the existing features of the Indian Constitution. The Government of India Act 1935. The Government Act of India 1935 was passed on the basis of the Simon Commission report and the proposals of the three roundtable conferences. It introduced the following changes: introduced provincial autonomy, abolished diarchy in the provinces, established federal government at the centre, provided for the establishment of a federal court to decide the conflicts between the provinces and the centre, provided for the establishment of a Federal Reserve Bank.
The world witnessed yet another global war from 1939 to 1945. England, France and Russia were on one side, and Germany, Italy and Japan on the other. India witnessed a lot of turmoil during this time. The Congress started the Quit India movement. The Second World War was fought with determination and grit between Britain, France and Russia on one side and Germany, Italy and Japan on the other. As a colony of Britain, India too was dragged into the war unwillingly. As a protest to this, the Congress ministers resigned and launched a satyagraha. The British government sent Sir Stafford Cripps in 1942 to meet the Congress leaders. He promised to lay down a constituent assembly after the war.
Demand for Pakistan. In March 1940, demand for the separate nation called Pakistan for Muslims was made at the Lahore session of the Muslim League. The two-nation theory was laid by Muhammad Ali Jinnah for two different nations, India for the Hindus and Pakistan for the Muslims. Muhammad Ali Jinnah stated that Muslims require a separate homeland. It consisted of provinces where Muslims were in majority. The August offer. Viceroy Linlithgow was accountable for the involvement of India in the Second World War. Certain offers were made by him to satisfy the Congress. He promised a dominion status for India after the war. He assured to set up a committee for framing the Indian Constitution and to include an Indian in the War Council of the Viceroy. These offers were made in the month of August 1940 and hence known as August Offer. The offer was rejected completely by the Congress.
Cripps Mission. British were suffering heavy losses and defeats in the hands of Japan during the Second World War, and on the other, they were constantly pressurized by the Indian leaders for complete freedom. Finally, the British agreed to have an open discussion with the Indians. They sent Sir Stafford Cripps, a British minister, to negotiate with the Indians. However, this mission was a complete failure as the British did not agree for the formation of a self-government in India. Quit India movement. After the failure of Cripps' mission, the Congress met in Bombay and decided to launch the Quit India movement, Bharat Chodo Andolan. This resolution was passed on 8 August 1942. This resolution called for immediate withdrawal of the British rule in India. This mass struggle was to be non-violent in nature. Gandhiji gave a strong slogan to all the Indians: "Do or die, karo ya maro." This meant that now on the Indians will strive for complete freedom or give up their lives in the process. He also raised the slogan "Quit India" against the British, which means leave India. The day after the Quit India movement was launched, the Congress party was banned by the British and all the leaders were arrested. There were hartals and processions against this decision in every corner of the country. The British used lathi charges and firings to stop the crowds. People resorted to violence and damaged railways and government properties and disrupted the postal and telegraph services. Approximately 60,000 people were sent to jails. Gandhiji was also arrested. All vernacular newspapers were banned. The main persons who led the freedom movement were Jayaprakash Narayan, Aruna Asaf Ali, S.M.Joshi, and Ram Manohar Lohia. This movement continued till the end of the Second World War.
Subash Chandra Bose was born on 23rd January 1897 in Cuttack, Orissa. He was commonly known as Netaji. He was a revolutionary who led an Indian national political and military force against the British during the World War II. He was one of the most prominent leaders of the Indian independence movement. The first INA was later revived under the leadership of Subash Chandra Bose in 1943. This was called the Azad Hind Fauj.
Subash Chandra Bose was an Indian revolutionary who led an Indian national political and military force against Britain and the Western powers during World War II. Subash Chandra Bose was one of the most prominent leaders in the Indian independence movement. Subash Chandra Bose escaped to Germany in 1941 and then went to Singapore to rebuild Indian Independence League and Indian National Army, INA. He formed a provisional government in Singapore on 21st October 1943. The Azad Hind Fauj or Indian National Army, INA, was formed during the Second World War. Many patriotic Indians felt that India could not gain independence through peaceful means. Action and violence in the form of armed attacks on the British was the need of the hour. Hence, those who believed in action formed the Azad Hind Fauj. Rash Bihari Bose was a prominent Indian revolutionary. He escaped from the hands of the British in 1915 and lived in Japan. He became the citizen of Japan. Yet, he had great love for India and fought for the Indian independence. An overseas Indian Independence League was established and a conference of this league was held in Bangkok, Thailand. This conference was attended by 100 delegates of Indians living in Southeast Asia and passed 33 resolutions, of which inviting Subash Chandra Bose was one of them.
This INA was later revived under the leadership of Subash Chandra Bose in 1943. This was called the Second INA, Azad Hind Fauj. This INA fought along with the Imperial Japanese Army against the British forces in Burma, Impal, and Kohima. The INA set an example of patriotism and courage. Later, all the INA officers were tried in Delhi and were convicted of rebellious attitude. These officers were later freed due to the roaring support of the public.
In this topic, you have learnt provincial autonomy was granted according to the Government of India Act 1935. Muhammad Ali Jinnah laid the two-nation theory and demanded for Pakistan. Viceroy Linlithgow promised dominion status for India after the war in his August offer. Gandhiji raised the slogan, "Quit India," against the British. Gandhiji gave a strong slogan to all the Indians, "Do or die." Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the most prominent leaders in the Indian independence movement.